as we're getting brand new video evidence showing the moments after that shooting with Alec Baldwin on the Rust movie set out in New Mexico. Well, we want to show you some of that evidence, and then we'll be bringing on our own legal analyst to kind of decide what comes next in this case and what this video evidence does for Alec Baldwin.
It went across her chest.
And it came out the back and went into the...
You want air flight?
Body camera video shows the frantic scene as first responders raced to try and save cinematographer Halyna Hutchins last October on the set of Alec Baldwin's movie Rust. Hutchins was killed. Director Joel Souza was wounded but survived.
Is that your truck?
Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office in New Mexico releasing this video and everything it's collected so far in the investigation, including crime scene pictures, witness interviews, and video of Alec Baldwin after that shooting and before, while he was rehearsing his scene, drawing the gun from his clothing and pointing it at the camera. Eventually, the gun fires a live round. Sheriff's deputies talking to Baldwin afterwards.
You were in the room when someone was shot?
Holding the gun, yeah.
Mr. Baldwin, who's the director on scene?
The guy that was shot.
Investigators telling Baldwin not to talk to anyone other than law enforcement.
Okay. I'm happy to stay right here and do everything that needs to be.
Well, my lieutenant just wants you to stay away from everybody and not to talk to nobody, so I was...
Wait right here.
These are pictures of the gun Baldwin used. Hannah Gutierrez, the armorer for the movie, who is responsible for maintaining and supplying weapons on the set, appears to be in shock when questioned by authorities.
I'm the armorer, or at least I was.
Later, during formal questioning, investigators read Baldwin his rights.
If you decide to answer any questions now with or without a lawyer, you have the right to stop questioning at any time or to stop questioning for the purpose of consulting a lawyer.
So my only question is, am I being charged with something?
Baldwin then tells investigators what happened.
We've done this for 2 weeks and we did it the right way every day.
All right, so there you have it. Some of that video evidence being provided there, and that's not it. We couldn't even show all of it. It shows detectives arriving at the scene. There's set videos, crime scene photos, witness interviews, and a 204-page case report summarizing the investigation in full. I want to bring in legal analyst Ken Belkin. Ken, are you surprised that they released all of this?
I mean, it is a little shocking that they're putting this out to the public. I don't know that it serves any legitimate purpose. But there is a lot going on here. And I think Alec Baldwin should be a little worried about whether he gets charged.
So with all of this being shown, I mean, you could hear some of the moments after the shooting itself. You can see he's frazzled. What does this do for his case?
It doesn't do much for his case. And I'm going to take a fairly, radical position here. I know a lot of legal experts have sort of said that Alec Baldwin should not be charged. I disagree. I think he should be charged with involuntary manslaughter under the law of the state of New Mexico, which says that if a killing occurs while someone is acting in a reckless manner, you can be charged with that. Now, it's a class 4 felony in the state of New Mexico and punishable by up to 18 months in jail. But look, the question when charging someone is there probable cause for the charges? Which all that really means is there some evidence that a crime occurred? And there's certainly some evidence. We've got Miss Hutchins is dead. Mr. Baldwin was pointing a gun at her, and by his pointing a gun at her, it went off and resulted in her killing. There's a question here as to his actions.
And you can see the interviews that followed directly after this shooting here, where he immediately said that it was the assistant director who handed him the gun, kind of shifting blame a little bit, which has been kind of the story for Alec Baldwin through this. So do you think that, puts him in a favorable light, or what do you think that does?
If someone hands me a gun and I point it at someone and it goes off, and they get shot and are killed, I'm getting charged with involuntary manslaughter. Someone could have told me the gun is empty. That gun is put in my hand. It is reckless of me to point it at someone without verifying for myself that the gun is in fact unloaded. Ask any gun safety expert on this. They'll tell you it's the #1 rule of gun safety. You're not even supposed to point an unloaded gun at someone.
Yeah, and that was a photo of the gun itself. This is all just wild to be seeing this evidence. We didn't know that we were going to get anything like this, and now we have. We can't even show all of it because it would take a pretty long time. I want to circle back into New Mexico officials, safety regulators, just in this last week, issued the maximum possible fine of nearly $137,000 against the Rust film production company. This already felt like a step forward in kind of assuming guilt for the production company. And we've talked in the past about the possibility of just settling all of these lawsuits rather than taking any other legal action. What are your thoughts on that, especially with now this new evidence?
Well, look, the New Mexico Bureau of Health and Safety, Occupational Health and Safety, they made an assessment. They gave Rust Productions the maximum fine, $137,000. Their report contradicted what statements Alec Baldwin made to law enforcement shortly after him being taken in for questioning. And he said that they've been doing it on set. There had been no issues on set. But according to the New Mexico Occupational Health and Safety Bureau, there was a long list of documented gun safety complaints, failures of safety protocols that contradict that. A long list and a narrative that is quite startling.
Yeah, it is startling. And Baldwin visibly startled from this as well, along with other production members. The armor being interviewed directly after that too, and saying that she was the armor. So who do you think this is all going to end up falling on? I think that's the big question now. Is it the production company? Is it Baldwin himself? What do you foresee as the future for these lawsuits?
I mean, I think civilly speaking, the production company has a lot of exposure here, massive liability. And I also think Alec Baldwin has some very great exposure, given the fact he was the one holding the gun when it went off. My thing is, I also think there is some criminal exposure here.
Expand on that. What do you mean?
Well, look, it all comes down to a question. Obviously, we have a woman who was killed by someone's actions that were involuntary, but was he acting in a reckless manner? That's the question. And according to all the gun safety experts, it is reckless to point a gun at someone. Even if it's unloaded, it is reckless to point a gun at someone.
Right.
But especially if it's loaded and you don't even bother to check and verify for yourself. I don't care who tells you that a gun is unloaded. Before you point it at someone, which you shouldn't do anyway, you are the last arbiter of safety. You are the last line of defense to check and see if that gun is loaded or not.
And Ken, I think that's why this is so substantial, because these are long clips. I mean, it's showing you their rehearsal leading up to him doing that quick draw maneuver and then pulling out the gun. I mean, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure this is the same gun that was used when it actually went off. Baldwin has a substantial past in shooting movies like this and using guns. I just think that this was explosive, this release of this evidence for this case.
Yeah, it is explosive to see it. We've all heard the story, but to see it is quite disturbing. Even more disturbing, and I hate to harp on it, is like I said, if someone gave me a gun and I pointed it at someone and it went off, I'm getting charged. Ken Belkin is getting charged with involuntary manslaughter. Why is it that Alec Baldwin does this and Alec Baldwin is not charged with involuntary manslaughter?
Right.
It's a question we might want to ask ourselves.
Yeah, and I don't want to speculate on this, but I also find the release interesting. This is 6 months after the fact. Is this pretty standard for law enforcement to be releasing video evidence like this at this point? Or what are your thoughts on the timeline?
I mean, usually law enforcement releases evidence when they're trying to get the public's help in an investigation. I don't know what this could be about. It could be maybe laying the groundwork for them, introducing charges. I'm not really sure what the purpose of releasing this information to the public is.
and moving forward, we always think that this kind of goes away and then some big development happens, more evidence is released, a new report is released. What are you going to be watching for in the future of this case? Possibly a response from Alec Baldwin?
I think Alec Baldwin would be best served by keeping his responses to a minimum, if at all any. I think what is going to happen is probably these civil lawsuits, or the civil side of things is going to settle quietly. I don't think anyone wants to draw it out. It's clear where the fault lies here. It's just going to be a matter of, and it's sad to say, but reducing this woman's life to a number.
Right. Well, Helena Hutchins, the cinematographer who ultimately died in this case, her legal team even staying quiet. They didn't know that all of this was going to be released either. So definitely got to look through all of it and make their best case for this. And we'll all be watching. Any last thoughts, Ken?
No, I'm just going to be watching with bated breath. And again, I'm very curious why, Alec Baldwin gets the special treatment here. But, these questions are above my pay grade.
All right. Well, we'll keep everyone updated on this as we track it alongside you. Ken Belkin, thank you so much for being with us here on the show.
Thanks for having me.